In the previous video, we worked in creating a parametric bench using basic shape and a surface, and then we divided the surface and we find out all the different sections or profiles that compose the surface. And also we created like a loft, a fill loft, and then a divided loft like this. So we can, when we have a surface, we can do different operations and we can decide how we want to like change this. This is thanks to parametric design in Grasshopper. And we use these type of expressions like Graft in this case, and also in another point here, I use reparameterized. So these are for, and also here. Now these are like to clean up a little bit the algorithm in some cases. And you can see here in the curve, you can also like reverse the curve, or you can do other operations when you right click. So you can reverse and etc. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about those in this lesson. Then we will create another parametric furnishing piece of furniture like a bookshelf. So I'm going to start by something really simple so we can understand like the basics as usual, and then we're going to increase the level of difficulty just a little in the second part of the video. So first, let's start by creating a curve. So we can create a curve directly in here in Grasshopper. We can design it in Rhino. But if we do it in Grasshopper, we need vertices. So usually you have to define values, which are numbers, or points, which are like geometric entity. So here you can see I can input the vertices and I can set multiple values. So I can basically create a polyline, which will then be turned into a curve, and we can also close it if we want. We can make it periodic, or we can leave it open like this. Now, when you design a curve, and if we can also extract these parameter vertices, so we can select it and we can move them around and we can edit them. So if I plug this node in, I can see this is a list of values. So even though they are points, they can be also turned into values that can be reused for something else. And we talked about the difference of having a single value, a list of values, and more than one list, which create like branches of a tree. So when we work with expressions, we usually work with values, not really with what on the outcome, even though it could affect the outcome. So I'm plugging here a series of vertices. If I reverse this, so right click and reverse, well, it doesn't change visually. The curve stays the same, but eventually if I could encounter a problem later on. So I need to know that when I create a curve or any other object, it has like a start and an end, and it goes through a series of values or points in this case, which are like lists. You can see if I reverse, I can see the reverse list in the node, but nothing changes in the 3D. But let me show you another example. So let's assume now we want to do like also, well, you can find this sometimes if you look for, you can find them into the various nodes. So the reverse list can be also found as a node. And again, it doesn't change anything. And be careful when you plug in the reverse, it's going to basically make some changes you don't even notice. So to see this better, I want to create another curve. I'm creating essentially the same curve because I copy and pasting the same vertices and the same curve, but right now I'm not reversing it. Now what I'm going to do is select those vertices and push them up just to create another curve, okay? But essentially it's the same curve, just the points are a little bit messed up on the top. Now if I do a loft, which is, or a ruled surface or something similar, which uses both curves. Let's do like the fit loft, which we didn't do yet, which is another type of loft. So if I take those curves, so I need one more than one. So I hold Shift key, click and drag, and plug two curves. You can see what happens because the first curve was reversed and the second one not. So you can see that we have an issue. They are like crossing each other, so they are not visualized correctly. Now there are other ways to fix this, but one way we can do it is just, just delete the reverse node or just reverse it again. And if you do reverse 2 times, it's gonna like basically put everything back as it was in the origin. So if I go here, and you can put the reverse on the input or in the output. So if I go here in the input, you can see now that they are both reversed, so they are looking fine. So this is an example of what reverse could cause and why do we need to know sometimes what are expressions and how we can fix them a little bit. Now we have a surface. Once we have a surface, we can also like analyze, deconstruct, and take data from that. For example, if we go here in the surface and in the utils and we divide that surface, we can get like points that are distributed inside that surface. And it's not a single list in this case. You can see there are multiple lines of points. So this is like multiple. Let's analyze this using a node. So if I plug this into the node, well, you can see that if I expand this is not just one single list. These are like several lists divided and organized into, again, a series of values. And this is basically a tree. So if I plug in a param and double click, a param viewer and double click, I can see that this contains multiple branches. So this is what happens when you have multiple values distributed in multiple lists, and it's always displayed as a dashed line, as we already know from previous lesson. Now, if I do a flatten, and again, I can do it in the output there or in the input, but if I flatten this out, you can see that everything is just one single branch. You can see it here in the panel, you can see it in the param viewer. It's just a single branch. And why? For example, maybe because I want to create like a set of cones based on these little points that I have found. And I want to distribute those objects on that surface. So this is a way you can divide your surface and distribute objects on a surface rather than on a curve. And again, I can make this organized into lists and into branches. So it changes here numerically, but it doesn't really change the final outcome for the distribution of the cone. So sometimes we have like a visible outcome when we change the expression here, like reverse, flatten, or simplify, or graft. Sometimes we don't. Now, when you do graft, you see it's it takes everything, it creates a single element into a single list. So it's kind of dividing each single entity into a single list. So it's increasing the number of branches. And simplify it, let's take off the graph. So simplify, you see, is just a simplification of those numbers. You can see it in the graph. So it's not like flatten, it's not totally flattening out. It's not taking away the branches, it's just simplify them. Flatten, we only have one. Now, this is just for you to understand that sometimes you can fix things using these values here. And sometimes you also have, with the curve, you also have like reparameterize, which basically like reorganize and clean up, make something neat with the values. Okay, now let's put again, I'm creating a polyline here. I created a polyline node just to show you the difference. Now I'm using the standard. You can see creates like lines. So this is like subdividing the surface into vertical lines. But if I change this and make this flatten, it means I don't have like different lines. I only have one line with many different points. So this polyline now runs through all those vertices as a single one, and it's not like creating multiple curves. And also I can extrude this now. So for example, when I find something on a surface, like points or curves, then you can move on and you can do something with them. For example, here I'm just trying to extrude. So for the extrusion, we always need basic curve or something geometry that can be extruded, and then a direction. And this is extrude along a curve. So right now we don't need a vector. We can draw a line or a curve, and we can extrude along that. So it's kind of a rail sweep in a way, because we have a rail and we have a section, but we can only use one. Instead, with the sweep, we can use multiple sections as we saw. So you can see this is a single line being extruded on a single part. And if I take off the flatten, you can see now we have lists. It means I have different lines separated and they are all being extruded. So it's really important what you define in the values. You can visualize them in a node, so you can see if they are like all divided or if they are multiplying. Sometimes if you don't do like graft, there all those points, they're going to be like multiplied many times. So let's create now. I want to create a sphere. So now I'm distributing the sphere on that surface. And also here in the tree section, in the sets, you find graft, you find trim, you find flatten. This means there are all operations you can do with trees and branches. So if I do like a flatten tree, I can do it like right here now. So it's just, again, the node version of that expression. So just like the reverse, if we look for in the various nodes, you will find all those in terms of nodes, so you can push them inside, drag and drop, and use them as this. And so that's another way you can use those. And I want to show you a little problem sometimes when you have when you multiply values. And also with the list, you can manage those lists. So you can like reverse a list as we done, or you can take an item from that list, or you can split the list into two different lists. You can dispatch. So for example, here I can like put a list of values inside the polyline only, or I can let me see here. I'm gonna set. Oh, I want to make this a little bit bigger so we can see a little better. You can also use Cull. So Cull is to take off some of the items that you generated. So you can use a pattern, which is like a checkerboard, like 0 and 1s. So if I put this in, you can see now we don't have all the spheres generated from that points, but is using now a pattern of true and false. So it's a way you can use the Cull. So if I put the boolean here as is asked, and I set this boolean, like now it's either you have all the spheres or you don't have any sphere. So that's how it's working, like the basic pattern. But if you go inside, you can set multiple pattern or multiple true and false values. So if you go here, you can set multiple booleans, and this sequence of false and true will define the way things will be displayed. So again, it's like a binary system, so it's like 1 and 0s. So you can like alternate. In this case, you are alternating rather than like jumping from each two. So it's a way, again, to take those values in that list and manage them, so you can again analyze them, divide them, merge all them together, etc., etc. Now, if I put, for example, here, if I use, for example, in extrusion, like we did also in the previous video, I take this as it is. Okay, so yeah, I plug this into the direction. This means it will have like multiple direction. So for each list, it's gonna have like 10 different directions, or like a bunch of different directions. So it's like multiplying that value, and we can see here the result. Okay, so it's creating like, it's multiplicating the surfaces a lot. So it's creating like an overlapping of many surfaces. So be careful when you use, where you use those parameters. Now, if I do graft, what happens is that now all the single surfaces are like more divided, so I can distinguish them a little bit better. So it's like cleaning up a little bit this result. And also I can try both, simplify, and well, the others. So if I do flatten, it means that like I have, for each single point, I have like a lot of surfaces. So again, it's like multiplying those entities more and more and more. So sometimes it's useful to simplify the flatten. Sometimes it's better to use the graft to simplify. And you need to check on that every time you use, a value. You want to make sure that it's in the correct format, either a single value or a list or a branch or a series of branches of a tree. Okay, now I want to create another surface. This is called the network surface, and it needs curves on the U direction and on the V direction. This means I need to create usually vertical and horizontal lines, which will be my sections. And this is good again. It's like a cross sweep in a way. It's like you're sweeping on one direction and on the other. So it's good to create pretty complex surfaces. And I want to do here like a waffle bookshelf. So I don't want like the base to be curved, but I want like the edges to be flat, or like, simple lines. So I'm creating a line here, and I'm defining also the length, or the width of the bookshelf. So I can type like, a number, and I'm working in centimeters. So if I type 200, it's going to be 200 centimeters, meaning that it's going to be 2 meters. And that's good enough for that grid extension. So this is going to be my first curve on the first direction, which could be the U direction or the V direction. So you just need to create a set of curves into 2 different directions, essentially. So if I take this line now, if I copy it, and I copy like 200 on moving on the z-axis, I'm going to establish also the top. So I have the bottom and the top of my bookshelf. Again, if you're having problems with Rhino and you want to know more, you can check the Rhino video course. Okay, now I'm going to set these two to be my curves on the U direction, and it says that it's not enough. I need also the V direction. So to do a network of surfaces, you need like a closed network in a way. So you need to have at least 2 curves on the U and at least 2 curves on a V. So it's kind of, again, like two lofts being crossed. And I can snap now to create the other 2 lines. I want to snap with the endpoints to those objects. And so, as I said at the beginning, this is a perfect square, and also it's coplanar. Everything is on a plane, because I want the edges of my library to be nice and straight, and I want to play inside. So this will be the other 2 curves on the V direction. And there you go. Now we have U and V. You can also invert and change the horizontal and the vertical lines. But I'm gonna do it as you can see. I will say that these are the basic, and it's a flat surface, nothing special. So it's just a plane essentially. But if I start to add now profile curves or like sections, I will be able to edit this and make it more curvy and interesting. I can use the midpoints here to put the curves exactly snapped into those other lines and to be really precise. So as I said before, you can be really precise, you can be more approximate. It's up to you. It will work both ways, but just to show you how you do it, I just snapped to the midpoint. Oops, look at what happened. It just went to the corner there. So that's not really what I want. So I either reposition this in the middle, which it was what I was trying to do. Otherwise, we need to design this curve a little bit differently. So I need to use planar, and I need to use project. Now, when you use planar and project, it will project on the plane where you are constructing that curve. So if you see it again now, it's perfectly planar and it's projected on that plane. And now if I take those three curves, I will have something different, as you can see. So my network of curve is getting more and more complex. Now I'm just gonna add three curves for each direction, but you can add like 20 or 100 if you want. And so I'm gonna do the other direction. So I'm gonna go again. Okay, now it's projecting. You can see that it's taking the midpoint and it's projecting it. So I don't want to project it right now. So I'm gonna turn it off. I can snap again to that other curve to create a perfectly closed network of surfaces. Right click to end the curve, by the way, if you don't know it. And now I can move these points around and I can redefine this surface. So I can change it anytime I want. And now I'm not being pretty precise. It's not a complete closed network or curve, but it doesn't matter. I can still have that surface like this. So again, you can be pretty accurate. The surface could be really close to the curves you are defining, or could be a little bit loose. Okay, so every time I need to reset those U and V curves. So right click, set multiple curves, and update the surface. So now I have a surface here, and I can also I can like detach this curve completely. So I can, change the shape using the points, the control vertices on the cursor. I can even detach it like this, but this will give me a curved edge, which I don't want. So I want to stick to that. I want to be precise on that point. Okay, I define another surface, just slightly different, but using those curves. And now what I've done is I divided this into horizontal line and vertical lines. Now, how can I do that? You can see I'm switching just using the slider in vertical and horizontal line. I'm going to show you all the process here, but the end is going to be this. I'm creating curves. I'm creating basically section curves or profile curves from the surface. So I'm doing like the opposite. I'm not creating the surface from the curves. I'm creating the curves from the surface. So it's like deconstructing in a way. It's like, deconstructivism, when you like take something and you analyze it and you get something else from it. So this is the BREP I created, and you can see down there the planes that I use for the section. Now, since I want to do both, I want to do vertical and horizontal divisions, I will show you how to do it. So first of all, I am in the Surface tab, and in the analysis, you can analyze many different ways. For example, I've used here the deconstruct BREP, so this node, to deconstruct and find the edges of this surface. And you can see the edges are now in green. They are highlighted. And you can see that from this surface, I get these 4 curves, which are the edges, the linear edges of the bookshelf. And then I divided them. So how do I divide them? Well, first of all, I need to decide which of these edge I want to divide. And to select only one, I'm using, in the sets, I'm using a list command, which is list item. You have many ways you can analyze, deconstruct, divide, extract data from your list. This one here in particular will extract only one value. So instead of having a list of values, I'm going to have only one value, and it's going to be either one line or the other. So one of these 4 lines. And to choose, you can see it's getting the bottom line because that was like the base. But if I want to have another line, I will use a slider. So this is a slider going from 0 to 4. We will just need 3 actually, but now if I move the slider, I will be able to select, you see, the other line. So that's the top line there on the 2, and then the 1 and the 3 will be the vertical lines. And you can see the outcome is I am getting one single line out of this because I don't want to use all of them. Now with that single line, I'm using the perpendicular frames. Now this will be found in the curves, and it's a way to divide. And instead of finding the points inside the curve, we find frames, meaning we find cutting planes that we can use to divide our surface. And we also did this in the previous video. So it's like similar to what we did for the parametric design in the previous video. We are getting sections from that surface. And now I can use both. I can take the horizontal and the vertical, and there you go. Now I have the division for my bookshelf. Now let's go into transform, and here in, again, I can use this project. So I will project on a plane. Now you can decide the plane, otherwise it's going to automatically go on the default plane, which is going to be X and epsilon. And there are so many ways you can define a construction plane. You have an entire section of construction planes, but I'm just going to take a simple plane like this from the geometry. And if I go here, construct plane, there you go, you can find here the way to construct this plane. And I'm going to set the origin first. I'm going to set it a little bit back there, so I will have the depth of the bookshelf. And then the X and the epsilon axis, you can see it's on the ground right now. So I want to make it vertical. To make my construction plane vertical, I can define the X, and I will put the X on the direction I want, which is going to be like the front view. And then again, the epsilon is going to go vertical right now because I don't want it on the ground. So now you can see it's taking those curves and it's projecting them on the back. Now, if I hide everything here, I select, I've done so far. Well, actually, I'm going to keep those 2 visible like this. Okay, so now I can see the grid of the front side of my bookshelf and the back, like a wireframe. And now I need to connect those, and I will use a surface again. Remember that, for example, I can use a loft because I have 2 curves or 2 lists of curves. So to unite the vertical and the horizontal lines, I can hold the shift key and I can plug in the curves from the back, from the horizontal and the vertical. And now I have a grid representing this and the back. And now I'm going to use the RuledSurface because we didn't use it yet, but also I think the loft will work. But RuledSurface is simpler because we only need 2 curves. Now we don't have 2 curves, but we have 2 lists of curves. So they're going to be both dashed, and I plug those right there, and that's the result. We have our bookshelves. So now it's just a matter of giving thickness to this. And also, by the way, if I go back here in the perpendicular frames, I can change the count of this. So if I put a slider in here and let's define like a range from let's say a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 9. So if I create a slider like this, I can quickly do some nice parametric generative procedural design using this value, because I can increase or decrease the number of shelves dynamically and interactively. So pretty cool. So again, you can bake then in Rhino. You can give it a thickness in Rhino. You can do it in Grasshopper. We already talked about this topic before in the previous lesson, so you can go back and check that out. And then I'm using here the rendered version, and also I applied a material, a wooden material from, and I apply that directly on the layer from the libraries. So this will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated, and also if you want to support us, join the channel as a supporter. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson about Grasshopper.